Good morning, Bat family. Welcome to the weekly Zoom call. This week we're going to be covering over the weekly market news and analysis, and we're going to be going over some additional pairs this week, which include additional blockchain pairs and additional cryptocurrency pairs, because right now we're in the middle of a crypto bull run and it's getting exciting. Well, it's starting to get exciting. It's about to get really exciting here soon, though. Hope everyone had a great start of the week. Hope everyone is looking forward to this new trading week. I know I definitely am. We have a lot to look forward to. We have a lot of news. We have a brand new trading month. There's a lot to be excited about.
All I do is daydream. They've been sleeping on us. I'm just trying to see.
Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the news here. First things first, I'm going to open some cred for those who watch South Park. You know what I mean, but let me crack open this Prime real quick. And let's get to it. So, Monday, March 4th, we have Spain unemployment rates. We have a Fed member speaking 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time during New York session, so that would be 11 a.m. during New York time, Eastern Standard Time. We have GDP growth rate for South Korea for the Korean won during Asia session, during Asia Open. Inflation rates for the Philippines later that evening, late Asia session. Let's see. GDP growth rate for Italy during London session. Fed member speaking during New York session. In the middle of New York session, 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. So that would be towards the close as well as the middle of the session on Tuesday. We have Bank of Canada interest rates on Wednesday during New York session, as well as Jerome Powell, Federal Chair Powell, speaking on Wednesday as well during 7 a.m. Same, slightly 15 minutes afterwards, after the Bank of Canada interest rate decision. So that should be a very volatile period of time during New York Open, and then a Bank of Canada press conference afterwards. So it's about to be very volatile during this hour from 6:30 to 7:30. Shortly after that, we have another Fed member speaking at 9 a.m., which would be 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Thursday, we have Mexican inflation rates, as well as European Central Bank interest rate decision. We have Canada balance of trade, U.S. balance of trade during New York Open, European Central Bank press conference shortly after that, 15 minutes afterwards, and then about an hour after that, we have another meeting with Jerome Powell. He will be speaking as well. Then an hour and a half afterwards, another Fed member speaking. Very, very busy Thursday. Oh, wow. And then to top it off, Friday, GDP for the European nations, unemployment rates, employment change for Canadian dollar, NFP for the US dollar, as this would be the first Friday of the month, and inflation rates for the Chinese yuan, which would be at the close. Overall, we have a very exciting week ahead of us. Let's check Forex Factor real quick, see if there's anything that we missed here. Typically, Daily FX shows more than what Forex Factory typically does, which is why I use it more often than I use Forex Factory. But yeah, as you can see, we're seeing very similar news events here. Nothing different with JOLTS job openings, which should be Wednesday, same time Powell speaking. So yeah, JOLTS job openings, one that was not shown on Daily FX, as well as everything else appears to be the same. Alright, fantastic. Now, without further ado, we're going to dive into the analysis. We're not going to spend too much time on each of these pairs as we have a lot to cover, and sometimes I can get long-winded and explain things very in-depth. So we're going to start with gold. If you watched last week's analysis, you can see that gold has absolutely played out to the T, and is approaching its all-time highs if we could break above this resistance level, which it does look so. So you can see last week I had analyzed saying a good move would be getting in from 2025 all the way up to potentially 2050, and then it may break above that point and target the previous month's high. As you can see, we have exceeded that. I'm going to delete some of these old technicals here as they're no longer needed. So my friend, how are you doing this morning? I had just got over the news and we are looking at gold here, and we're just covering things maybe like three minutes tops for each analysis, as there's a lot to cover this week. But the previous week's low would be right here, right on that level of demand and support. Higher low point here, and then one more final tap, and then absolutely took off. So for this week coming up, what can we see here? We have this previous week's high right here. Going to delete that as I don't like how that looks. It looks a little messy. Absolutely, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good things are coming. There's a lot of space here between the 2080 to 2050 price range. As you can see, we just have one large candle. So if we go to a lower time frame here, we may be able to find a spot where price may pull back to before continuing. As you can see on the weekly time frame, we are very, very strong bullish close. We more than likely are just going to continue moving higher up to the all-time high and possibly even make a new all-time high if it breaks above. Yeah, this monthly candle is already starting off $50, nearly $50 higher than what it opened at. It's crazy. Okay. So a good pullback spot, potential entry point for gold would be this 2050. That would be a really, really good price, but price may not come back down to that point. This would be a great entry. Take it right here and could continue it up. However, most likely price is going to come down to 2070 or 2065 right in this area and continue as well. There's a lot of buyers here due to global economic pressures as well. Gold's just going to continue. It's very bullish. It's in a bull market. It's just going to keep running. If we go slightly lower, 2 hour, yeah, we may just retest this previous area of supply / resistance where we broke above. So 2070, 2060 would be a good entry price range for gold for buys if it does come down to that point. Price could just consolidate in this area and then eventually find support and continue its next leg up without ever pulling back. But to me, this looks like we're going to have some type of pullback because this was a very strong bullish movement, and usually gold has some type of decent correction after these type of moves. So this would be ideal to see. Yeah, just tap right in there and let's continue, either break above or reject here, or break above and continue to the all-time high. This would be a good move. Very high risk reward trade. This could be a good swing trade or call options, long-term call options, or even just a good short-term margin trade. Next, we're going to look at the NASDAQ real quick. NASDAQ, following the weekly analysis from last week, we are still headed to our projected area at 18500 and then potentially up to the 1900 price range and slightly beyond there. We opened last week bearish. As you can see, this followed that overall idea we had at the start of the week. Moved down right to this level of support / demand and then broke above and made a new all-time high. So we need to adjust this here. This right here is now the previous week's low. Yeah, this is just a beautiful play right here. Break above, retest, rejection, and then took off. So we may tap into this area once more. Let's zoom out a bit. On the right side, going to the weekly time frame. Yeah, strong bullish close. Yeah, we really may tap right into that based off the weekly time frame. On the left, going to the 12-hour time frame. Yeah, I could see NAS flipping right into this area, maybe 18050 or 181. That'd be a 232. That'd be a pretty big correction, but it's pretty typical for NASDAQ 100. So nearly 175 points from where price closed out of this area. If it taps right here, if it goes to 180.50, that'd be 230 points basically. That'd be a relatively big correction, but that'd be a great entry point to enter on. Maybe right here. If you had a wide stop loss, you could put it right underneath the wick too, depending where you enter it and catch it. And if we hit right above here, this is still a really good risk reward trade at 1.5. And even if you move the stop loss below the wick, B3R, both are looking really good. So 3 to 4.5 R, depending where you enter. Overall, really good setup on the NASDAQ still. Yeah, I would not bet against this trend whatsoever. It's very, very strong. It's very clear that it's going to continue higher, and yeah, on the weekly time frame, right where that zone is, it looks like a perfect retest area. You could even put this as confluence right here. Previous resistance that may now act as support. Yeah, and based on how we closed last week on the intraday time frame, the 4-hour, it does look like a correction's in place. So you just see it push slowly down to here, and boom. Be really nice. Yeah, we'll see how this plays out, but yeah, I'm expecting this just to open bearish today, Sunday, and then correct during the week and continue higher. Next, US 30, we'll cover this real quick here. US 30 has been moving kind of wild. It did follow our weekly analysis, but it didn't fully push down to the area where we were expecting. It just tapped right at the top of that zone. But it does look like that second leg, that second push will be coming to potentially hit this area that we were once anticipating last week. Overall, this pair has been wild though, as you can see. We go to the weekly time frame. This traded in this range the whole time. It didn't break above the previous week's high, didn't go below the previous week's low. It just stayed right in this range here. Although pretty wild range. A 500-point range, you know, that's pretty significant. It wasn't trending, it was just stuck in this area. You could have definitely milked this market though. There is some type of buyer trend line on the hour time frame. It does look like price is gonna try and pull down to here and then potentially break below down to the 38600 price range. And if you look at the weekly time frame, it did close bearish with some type of indecision, but there's more seller's exhaustion than there is buyer's exhaustion. So it does look like buyers are here. This is still bullish, I believe. It just needs to hit an area of liquidity, it seems. If we go to the monthly time frame, yeah, it does look like price still wants to come down there to this point, and then from there they start to flip bullish and drop up to this point at 4,000. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on this. Next, we're going to start moving on to crypto and to the blockchain stocks. But first, let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is approaching its all-time high. It's getting very exciting. We're approaching that time where it's about to get very exciting in the crypto market, where things are just popping off and not stopping. But as you can see here, we are at the current price. We're at 62,700. The all-time high is at 69,000, I believe. 69,000 and some change. Oh, 68,958 is what it says here. So up to that price, we are 10% away, $600 or $6,000 away from that point, which is not much. This much movement, and we are back at all-time highs. From there, Bitcoin most likely is just going to exceed past it as years pass. Each time Bitcoin has broken its all-time high, it's just gone parabolic. One moment. I believe once we break the all-time high this time, we're going to approach the 120K price range, and if you apply just Fibonacci's on here, you can kind of get a better idea of how it looks. We're at 107. If we apply the fibs from down here, near the 110,000, most likely price will pop right at this point, 110. 85K is in sight, which this looks pretty obvious. It's very, very clear. This price range here, 85 to 90,000, then up to 110. Could even extend a bit further. The next price points obviously, as you see, are almost 200,000, but I don't know if there's going to be enough to do that this time around. But you know, anything's possible. But from here, the current price range up to this first take profit is 37%, up to the overall 110,000 would be nearly another 100%, so an 80% movement in Bitcoin prices. Now it could even extend further. You know, this may be one of those crazy years that we haven't seen in a long time, and it may go up to 190K, but first we have some other objectives to hit before we can reach those heights. So we'll see what happens on there, but overall it's just going to continue higher for the time being. XRP, this has been looking very exciting here. We did not break below that trend line and go to the 40-cent price range, so that's really nice to see. It actually did hold, and it's looking very strong. If we zoom out to the monthly time frame here, we're seeing some rejection on the monthly. We could tap right back into the 55-cent price range, which wouldn't be unrealistic. But if we do, that'd be a great time to try to scoop up some more at that, as that would be just a pullback. But if we don't pull back that low, we may retest the resistance that we have just broken above, which is the 60-cent price range. So if we go to the weekly time frame, as you can see, strong bullish candle. We have resistance right at 60 cents that we finally cleared. And let's get this on split screen real quick. Alright, never mind, did not match my current chart, so that's interesting. I'll have to fix that later. All right, daily time frame then. We retested the 60-cent price range real quickly. That could have been it, and it may just continue higher from there, but 70 cents is in sight. I believe we're going to break above that 70-cent price range right here, this area of resistance and supply. It's really 70-75 cent price range, and then we're going to continue to 90 cents to $1. It looks clear as day. It's a clear range. It's really just looking like it's just going to tap right up to here. From that point, you may have the first major pullback, and then we may hit 75 cents again. Could retest this area that we're looking to break above here shortly, something as such, and then continue on its bullish run. But overall, XRP is looking very, very exciting here. Very undervalued still. Once it starts breaking above this point here, the 70-cent range, it's going to get expensive. Right now, 50 to 60 cents is still a fair value, in my opinion. But it's about to get really exciting here. $1.35 be the first major hurdle we could look at after this point, but that's going to take some time to play out. In the years past, these type of movements happen in just a span of a few months, 2 to 3 months, and if we replicate it here, so if we do get something similar to how it was back in 2017, that puts us at $3.75, which would be a new all-time high. We may not hit the 550, maybe this run. Maybe this may take a few years to play out. I really don't know. It's hard to say, but initially, if you just do the movement from 2017, this run here, and apply the same candle movements, we're looking at maybe $4, $3.70, $4 for XRP to initially hit. So we may have to readjust our take profit points to set up here initially, but we'll see how this plays out. Overall, this would still be, I believe, an 8x return or so from the entry point, or okay, nearly 600%. The 8x would be at nearly $5. Okay, so it would have to be $5 to make 800%. At 370 would be a 500% return. So that's perfectly fine, and that's what I've been projecting, 5 to 8x. So that's very realistic. Next, we'll move on to basic attention token here. Same thing, very, very bullish. Has broken above 35 cents yesterday, which was really exciting to see. That's a lot of momentum, and that was how much of a movement that from 25 cents up to there. Yeah, it was 30% move. That was really cool to see, and most likely price is going to continue higher up to this nearly 50 cents. It's the 40 to 45 cent price range before we see a potential parabolic move through this area, or a correction back down where we're at now, and then a continuation. But to me, I believe it's just going to break right through, as this doesn't really seem like a real area of resistance. It seems like an area of liquidity almost, and just wants to blow right through it and go up to 75 cents, 75 cents. From the current price at 31 cents, 70-cent move would be 120%, 125%, up to 75 cents would be 140%. So that'd be a good short-term investment for a quick, good little move right there. But overall, I'm still seeing it go up to potentially $2 back to its all-time high. As you can see on the daily time frame, same thing how XRP looked. We had a pullback and rejection. It still may pull a bit lower, but you're still seeing strong buying pressure on these assets, which they're undervalued, and they've been consolidating for months, for about 6 months now, and now they're really starting to take off, starting to get exciting. And it's still early. It's definitely not late by any means, but once we start getting up to this point, up to these first areas of take profits, it's going to be, the risk to reward is not nearly as good as it is down here. It's just not quite as worth it. Although you could probably still make money and get out good. Now is still low. It's still buy low, sell high. So the first area, all-time high, is at $1.93. If we break above that and go to $2.40, which would be a new all-time high, that would be what we're looking at. But from the current price range up to there would be 647% return. And if we just hit the all-time highs from the current price would be 500%. So again, same projection, 5 to potentially 8x at the overall take profit at $3. Still same thing. Overall, realistically, 5x is not impossible, and it's very realistic, and that's just being modest. So I may just take those, but if we hang out longer, which is risky obviously, there's good potential that it could keep extending, but I'm trying to secure the bag, and 5x return is phenomenal. So next we're looking at crypto.com, CROUSD native coin here. This particular asset is pushing pretty strong. It was at 9 cents the other day, and I was going to buy some, but I held off. But I wish I did, because it pushed to 17 cents in literally a day or two, and from here to there, 80% in a single 1 or 2 days. If you as well, my friend, this will be up on YouTube here later this afternoon. Be safe. Have a good Sunday. Nearly 80% in 2 days. This is Crypto.com's native coin, so this particular token will save you on fees, and they have a staking program to where if you stake the rewards, you get particular different rewards benefits on their crypto card, on their Visa cards, and their Visa cards are also tiered depending on how much you have staked, so there's some clout there depending on what color card that you have, and they are metal as well. So if you stake $400, you get the Ruby one, and then anything higher than that, 4,000, it's like Jade and Indigo. Those are pretty sick. And obviously the more you stake, there's a few more tiers above that, but you get different rewards benefits, depending how much. But it does have some use cases here. But overall, if the platform is doing well and generating revenues and has a high user base, the native token is going to do well as well, and it's only at 14 cents, highly undervalued compared to where it was when it first launched, which was hit a high of nearly $1.98. So from 14 cents to 98 cents, it seems like an absolute steal from the current price of 14 cents. It'd be a massive return on investment and definitely worth the risk. Next, we are going to move on to the blockchain stocks. First, we're looking at RIOT. RIOT here has been around for a long time, as you can see, for 2011, or actually maybe even prior to then. And let's zoom out some. They've been publicly traded for quite some time. Yeah, since 2003, they've been mining Bitcoin stocks. They hit an all-time high of 3,600 back in 2007. And as you can see, we're currently at $14.44. So we're nowhere even close to where we were at one point in time. And if we look at the previous rallies that we've had down here, $68, and even back to here at $213, if price can exceed or extend up to those price points, once again, we have quite a ridiculous possible return on investment on this stock. Now this is a long-term play, and it's not going to happen overnight, and may even take quite a few years for this to play out. But the initial area that we're looking at here, from where price is at, from $14, we may end up seeing $47, which would be a 200% return, which is fantastic. Yeah, 200%. And a little bit more if price exceeds 40 and goes up to 45. So nearly 250% return from current prices. And if we do break above this little area right here and target the previous rallies, the previous bull rally that we had back in 2021, this is nearly a 500% return on investment on this stock. Now, if you want to hold this particular pair long term, as you can see where price was at one point, and if the Bitcoin price to continue to go higher, these particular Bitcoin blockchain stocks are going to move higher as well, as they generate revenue from mining the Bitcoin rewards. So if Bitcoin goes up, their revenue naturally goes up as well, as their blockchain rewards will be increased also. It's a win-win, and it's correlated. But overall, really good pair, really good asset, really good stock to be looking at. But it is expensive. It's $14 a stock. It's not cheap by any means compared to the crypto coins we were just looking at. However, if you do have the funds to do so, it is a great possible return on investment, and if you were looking to do so, you can manage your potential risk as such. Buying here. Oh, let's fix this. Buying there with your exit point most likely below the previous month's low. You can put it at $7, which would be 50%. You know, there is some risk there as this is a volatile stock. But let's see the realistic return on investment though. Potentially 4-1, which would be 50% for 200%. It's a little less than 4-1 on the risk reward tool, but as you can see, it's worth it. And if you move the stop loss up to 750, you're right at a 4R. So that would be a 50% risk for a 200% return. And depending on how you wanted to risk it, you could even do less and allocate less to your portfolio, so that 50% really comes out to being 1% or 5%. However you do it, you know, you're not actually losing 50% of your portfolio. What I mean by that is if you had $1,000, you invest $100, your risk would be $50 on your overall portfolio of $1,000. That $50 loss is a 5% loss. So you would want to play it like that. And if the stock is increasing in price, you would increase your risk and allocate more and get out as it hits your take profit or projected price point. So that's how you would do that, and that's how I'm looking to play some of these, which I'll go into on Argo. But next we're looking at Bitfarms here. This is another Bitcoin blockchain stock. As you can see, the current value is $2.93. This one's a little more or a little less expensive than Riot, but it hasn't been around quite as long, not as tenured, and not listed as long. This one's been listed since 2019. But as you can see, since February, actually, January, February, price has moved 100%, or actually nearly 200%, from $1.50 at the month of December. How about this? Let's go to January here. January low up to February high, just this last month, 110% in a month. We've had a pullback of roughly, from this high down to where we're currently at, 25%. Currently, I think Bitfarms is going to continue higher up to where it once was at this price point here at $9. There's an area of resistance up here at the $8.50 point, and you can draw this area of supply right up here at the $9 to $8 price range. From there, there's another area where we may hit at this particular fair value gap point, right where price previously was last month, right at $4. And beyond that is this point here, the $6 price range. So we'll make a zone of this here, which would be considered a fair value gap, if you will. So if price comes down to this point here on a weekly level, on this weekly level of demand, price retraces back into the $2.50 price point. This would be a really good opportunity to buy this particular blockchain stock. As you can see, if we just target $5, have your risk, your exit point at $1, right at this low here, you're looking at nearly a 2R risk to reward, which is pretty good. And your overall return on investment would be a 140% move. If you enter right at $2.50, be 100%, be risking, your risk would be, yeah, roughly the same. You can make it 50%. You could bring this up from where I have it. You can make your stop loss at $1.50, be risking 50% for 100%, so 2-1. And if price exceeds that point, and ends up going to that $8, $9 price range, looking at the same thing for our, so 200% for 40 to 50%. And same thing, you could risk, $100, risk $40, $50 for the loss, invest $100, and then your potential return to be 200 to 400%, so $200 to $400 for a maximum of $40 to $50 loss. And last but not least, we're going to be looking at ARGO blockchain. So ARGO is one that I am into right now. I have 259 shares of this particular stock, and this particular stock does not have the best fundamentals compared to the last few that I have shown. These last few blockchain stocks that I've shown have good fundamentals, good on paper, no debt, relatively speaking, good cash flow. ARGO, though, their fundamentals aren't the best, but they have really good facilities and have been listed for quite some time as well. As you can see, at one point, their ICO price was $20 per share, been listed for nearly 3 years now. But yeah, the books aren't good. Aside from that, last month we had a crazy rally from, like I said, end of December. End of December up into January, went nearly 300%. Then from there had a major retracement of over 50%. And I had bought it at $2, first initially $1.98, then up at $2, and my overall average price is around $2.50. So right at this point here, because I was buying as it was going up the previous week. Now with this particular stock, same thing. The overall risk is 50%. The overall return is 200 to 400%. From the price that we're currently at, we're looking at first $4, which is 100% return. But if we break above that, we're looking at our first target of $7, which would be a 200% return, which is absolutely phenomenal. But as I was saying, the fundamentals aren't the best, but sometimes fundamentals don't necessarily mean too much, as when there's lots of volatile price action, stocks just move sporadically. That's just how it is. Some things may not be the best on paper. Sometimes when tokens get delisted, they rally before they dump for whatever reason. It's all speculative. Just because it's not good doesn't have good fundamentals right now doesn't mean a short-term bullish rally can't happen up to these price points, and then a sell-off absolutely can happen. But overall, we're looking at a potential 200% return from current prices, and long term, if price does continue moving bullish and we have an overall strong bull market for Bitcoin, we exceed 100K and break above the 110K price point and start approaching 200,000, which would be absolutely insane, but it's by all means possible, and that is where it may go one day. We could be seeing a potential 600% return at this $15 price point, but we have a long ways off from that, and that could take quite a few years to play out. But you never know. This could be quite a volatile next few months, and we might see some very heavy volume. But overall, hope you enjoyed this analysis. Hope you guys have a great trading week. If you haven't joined my free Telegram yet, go ahead and do so. The link is in the video description. Go ahead and follow my Instagrams, Build a Trader, @BatSignals. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter. And feel free to DM me if you have any questions or need help with your trading. I am here to help you. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.